You can't be led by the Spirit if you're still being ruled by the pressure to perform. Jonathan Groceway is a husband of 13 years, a former retail leader, and now he is a full-time content creator with him and his wife doing relationship content. Now, he's learned that true leadership doesn't start in the workplace, it actually starts in the home. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what happens when a man stops performing and starts listening and being led by God. So welcome, Jonathan. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today, Taz, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy that you took time out your day, time away from your family to come on and chop it up with me.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. You're welcome, man. Hey, man. Anything here to give God the glory is worth the time.
All right, all right. So we're gonna jump right in. So let's start with some, that every husband knows about the pressure to provide, right?
Yeah.
The pressure to provide. Now you share with us, will you share with me privately a story about, this past April, how things got a little bit tight financially with you and your wife and your household, and how God showed up in a way you didn't expect. Can you actually walk us through that moment?
Oh yes, man. The pressures of trying to make ends meet as an entrepreneur sometimes can be very, very challenging. During that time in the month of April, I mean, like we was not getting any money flow in at all. It slowed down big time tremendously. So it was like, oh man, how are we going to meet our expenses for this month? And you jump into action very, very quick, and you think about what you're going to do in the flesh first, and trying to be a provider for your family, and trying to be that you trying to be the barbaric leader of the family. You lead with yourself currently because of fear. And I got into that point to where I was trying to lead from a fear-based standpoint, and out here physically trying to make up what we need to make up for the month. So I'm out here driving myself all the way down. Now at the same time, I'm missing time with my wife and my children and my kids, trying to put money on the table in the way that I desire to do it. And when I found the way that I desired to do it was not the right way, I had to sit back and pull back from the mistakes I made from the past. And that was exactly what I'm saying, the pressures to perform and making mistakes under the pressure to perform. And what I did was I went back and said, no, let me receive instructions from the Father. Let me go to God and ask Him to help me and guide me on how to provide for my family. Because me leaning on my own understanding is not getting me anywhere. Leaning on God's understanding with Christ and what's within me realizing that and knowing that, I have someone to go to help me out more than I can do for my own self. So I talked with my wife about what I was thinking about in my mind, and we had to do our taxes for the month. With the month of April, you got to get it in before that time is up. So we did our taxes for our business. However, Taz, man, I did not notice that I missed a tax return when I was working in corporate America. When I was a retail leader in the retail, I had one more tax return to do, and I never paid attention to it all this time until now. God put that in front of me and said, "Here is your opportunity to pay your bills for the month right here." I gave this tax return that you did not pay attention to all this time, but I'm showing it in front of you right now, and here's your opportunity. And I did the tax return, and by the time tax return came, we was been meeting our deadlines. That part came in, the exact amount of money came in to cover our expenses for that month. When we went on, me and my wife, we work out at the gym. And we left the gym, and she saw an email saying the tax return check came in. And we just fell to our knees, man, because we knew that God came in and delivered and gave us income that we needed for that month. But but prior to that moment, taking you back prior to that moment, the things that was going on in my head was I was allowing the enemy to use fear as a weapon against me.
What do you
And
what do you mean things that's going in your head
like
was using fear against you? Can you speak on that?
the fear of just losing things that you have in your home. I mean, like facing eviction, facing you get these emails, you get these letters in the mail saying things just like overdue, and you have no means, and you're trying to do your best, right, and nothing is coming your way. So that fear start rushing in. When fear start rushing in, you start to be not in the right logic of mind. And I saw myself not being in the right logic of mind. I started seeing myself act on the desires of the flesh to create the problem. I mean, to fix the problem, instead of the desires of the spirit to take care of these problems. And me going back and thinking about all those moments in time, I thought about what I was doing, how I was separating myself from my family and my wife on the wrong energy. You
And
know,
I think a lot of husbands go through that. You know, I've been there
mhm,
before as well. It's like, you know, when things get that pressure to perform and you're trying to do things on your own because, you know, you have to provide, but at the same time, it's like you're doing everything you can do and everything you can do and nothing's moving. And you start feeling that emotional pain, that baggage, that not enough. And it's not even hard, it's hard to wait on God during that time because it's like you're trying to do what you gotta do, but then yet you still praying. But then it's like it's hard to wait on God, you know, and the fear does set in.
yep, it does. It does. It sets in immensely. And when I was in that moment of working with my wife about fixing these problems that we had, these financial problems we had, you know what, John, you only can do what you can do, and do as much as we can to solve our problems, and expect God to help us out. That's it. And you meeting God halfway by showing your faith is that it just be turned around, but you're not overextending yourself like He's not going to fix the problem. So staying in that frame of mind is where you really have to be strong at, because you don't know the results yet. You're expecting these results, but you don't know it yet. So since you don't know the results yet, you are here acting on the professional of the pressures of being a performer in that time, and trying in the pressure of being a performer, waiting for God expectations. Like you said, it can be very hard. It can be very, very strenuous on you because it's so many moving parts that's happening that's increasing that fear over and over and over again. Mainly looking for different opportunities to fix those problems, but you're still not really just waiting on God to help you fix the problem. God will help you fix that problem if you truly know that God is the true living God that hears your prayers. And God is always here for us all the time. And sometimes I feel like we just don't really depend on Him as much as we really want to depend on Him, and not leaning on Him 100%. Sometimes we lean on Him 80%, 70%, 60%, but not all the way on Him. And
And I think
that,
that's a lot of us gotta learn to do that. And I think, you know, and we gotta weigh each situation as well,
yeah,
because you know, some situations gotta look like, well, am I leaning 80% on the Lord? Am I leaning 100%, or am I leaning 50%? You know, and but the thing is, God will show up and show out. It's just that waiting part is the hardest part because you know you don't know. It's like you can have faith that He's gonna show up, but it's like, well, how and when?
yeah,
You know, and that's the hard part because I know I got testimonies in my life where he definitely showed up where you know where there was a gap in you know a gap in bills and then all of a sudden a unexpected check come in the mail. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So he always shows up. It's just the waiting period is the hardest part.
Yes. And in a waiting period, you really have to be, really just prayed up the whole time, because your wife seeing you going through what you're going through, and you're kind of feeling some type of, like, you're not the man. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're not the man, and now it's like you're trying to guard your emotions of what you're feeling, but not letting your wife know what the emotion that you're feeling it is, because ultimately I'm leaving her out of this journey, and we're in this thing together. And if I trust her to trust me, I have to open up my heart and let her see, well, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I'm really feeling this way, baby. I'm really feeling this really, really bad. It's making me think all kind of ways. And that is the moment that helped me see those things by really just getting down, let my wife know how I feel. Hey, this really is getting to me. And she just always tell me, hey, John, I need to let me know how you're feeling. When you're going through these things, tell me how you're feeling about these things. If this pressure is weighing you down, tell me, because you don't know what your wife can do for you, if you don't give it a chance. Tell her about what you're going through, what you're feeling. She might be praying for you in secret. You don't know it, but you cutting her out of the picture by not including her in it and trying to take it out on your own. You know what I mean? Like, this is us. This is our team. We together.
Now, a lot of husbands like wrestle with that right there. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of husbands wrestle with the part of being open, being vulnerable to their spouse, especially when they going through something. Like, how did you start opening up and putting that pride to the side and like, you know what, babe, this is exactly what I'm going through because we want to protect ourselves. Like we protect ourselves as being the leader, being the provider, being the do for. We're supposed to be there. We're supposed to do. We're supposed to have things. We're supposed to provide things. And how do we do? How did you become to start doing all that? Right, opening up to her without slipping into victim mode you know, and without her looking at you like a victim, because some wives do that.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I learned in this whole situation was my wife asking me all the time what I need and actually telling her what I need so she can help me. That was the first thing. Like, hey, I want to know what your needs are. What do you need from me? And I said, you know what I need, back? I need a safe space to take this armor off and talk to you and just lay it all out, however I'm feeling it. If you see me crying, whatever it is, you say, if that's what you need, man, I got you. I say, I'm a safe space for you to talk to me. We can talk about anything that you're feeling, what you're going through. Whatever you're going through, we're going through this together. And I love you, and I believe in you 100%. That part right there, knowing that my wife believes in me, believe that I'm the man, and you can tell me anything that your heart is feeling, and I'm still gonna rock with you no matter what. That part helped me open up to her and start letting her know the things of my heart that's weighing down on me. Because every day we leave out of here, we put on the armor of God, and we leave out and try to slay dragons, try to make it every single day, day in and day out. Going through, if you're working in corporate America, the pressure that you feel to perform, and so you guard it up, and you don't want to come home guarded up too. You got to be able to take that off and work through your emotions. Our wives, they are really emotional experts, and we're not leaning on that as a resource to help us out. So that part is what helped me out the most because my wife is always thinking about what she's feeling and seek guidance from me. So I need to do the same thing with her. I'm telling you what I'm feeling, and I'm asking for guidance from you so you can help me be a better man, a better husband, a better provider because you may have insight that God gave to you that He's waiting for me to ask you for it. And sometimes we block ourselves out by not seeking instructions from our wife because God may give it to our wife, but not give it to us.
That's profound right there. And I like what you said. Like you said, you went to her and said, let this be a place where I could take this armor off.
Yes.
I never heard it put, like that. That's very profound right there. And we do need that place we could take that armor off because the world is tearing us up, and especially like if we're going through something like a lot of fellas, some fellas are going through things financially, or it
Mm-hmm.
may not even be financially, maybe addiction, certain things,
Yep.
past trauma that they're battling, and having a wife that can actually vent, they can vent to and listen to, is key. And
Yes.
we call it like naked trust. Like when you have the naked trust, we could just be open, be
Right.
vulnerable, and with that, when you have that naked trust, you have that true connection. But a lot of fellas have to get to that point, and it is kind of hard to get to that point, because some fellas may be looking like, hey, me and her have been at it like this, so for me to come at her open like this, she just gonna take advantage, or she's just gonna bring it up later on in the conversation or in the argument in the heat of something, you know.
Yep.
So what do you say to that fella, that man that's listening, that's in that situation?
When you are in that situation, you have to really take a look within yourself and say, what's hurting me? What's preventing me from being vulnerable with my wife? Because we don't like to be vulnerable. Not being shown what everything is taken off of us and seeing me as naked and unashamed, like in the Garden of Eden. We started off naked and unashamed. That's how we started off. And it's hard for some of us men to be naked and unashamed with our wife and not be vulnerable to her and open up and let her know what we're going through. And now everything gets raised up in the wrong situations. That conversation that was an argument could be a conversation of development in a situation. But you have to be able to be vulnerable, and allow yourself to be vulnerable with your wife in order to get through those stages, to not get through that frustration. The more and more you practice your vulnerable points with your wife, the more and more you can uncover yourself and be able to trust your heart with your wife in that aspect. And the more and more you're able to trust your heart with your wife in the aspect, the more and more better these conversations get. These now become togetherness conversations instead of situations where we are trying to go nick for neck, who got the best point of view about this problem. It won't be any more fighting anymore. It'll be our problem. How we going to fix this together and how we going to get through this together. This is what I'm feeling, and what I'm feeling is going to hurt us. So I want us to be in a better situation. That takes you for being vulnerable doing it, because now you're taking your accountability in the situation and saying that, look, I'm carrying some weight that I know that I'm feeling, and I need to let you know about this so it won't hurt us. You got me? Because ultimately, if it's hurting you, it's gonna be hurting her. Because you can't just be Superman and carry that cape on all day. You know what I mean? So you have to be vulnerable and let her see what's within you. So that probably won't be any fighting at all. But the key is being vulnerable. You have to learn to be vulnerable, and it takes time to go into your life. Of when was the point in my life when I was vulnerable, and how did I go through those steps? Have I ever been vulnerable? Do I know how my parents become vulnerable? Do you know how to be vulnerable? Like, what's my archetype of my thinking? Like, all those things. You got to figure out those things so you can get to that point.
And it's like, searching within yourself to figure out how do you get to that point and then realizing, okay, what is truly impacting me, and let me share this with her. How can I share it with her? You
Yes.
know, and I think just putting a caveat out there, like when you speak to her husband, listen, when you're speaking to her about these things, just be open, honest with her up front about, like, I want to share some things with you, and
Mm-hmm.
I want you to respect me as the man, as the husband I am. But this is where I'm struggling at. This is where I'm hurt at. This is where I need you at right now. This is why I need your compassion and understanding, on me right for me right now.
That's
As I
it.
open up and give you that space within my heart, because let you feel that void that I'm missing, because I can't share it with nobody else.
Yep. That's it. That's who it's reserved for. It's reserved for her. God appointed her to be your wife, and it's reserved for her to have that. And like you said, God works in mysterious ways. You know that things can happen where you never thought it could happen, and now you feel more confident and coming to write more and more about things. And then here you go. Now you got that perfect unity.
Brief interruption, real quick. If you listen to this and you like what you're hearing, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below. Therefore, you're notified whenever we have another Men of Valor, Husbands of Purpose podcast. Also, you can share it out if you find this episode valuable. And fellas, if you're looking to have a deeper relationship with your wife, cultivate more conversations, more intimacy, download our free video guide. It's in the descriptions below, or you can just go to connectionconversations.com, download our free video guide, and start getting more intimate with your wife, and just really build that bond, build that friendship, build that love. Go to connectionconversations.com, or you just click the link in the description. Peace and blessings. Back to the episode. Now, you spent like 20 years in retail management. What's one leadership skill you took away from there that you implement in your marriage right now? Implement in your marriage, implement in how you father your children.
Ooh, one of the things that I've took from being in management is situational leadership. I really feel like you have to look at the desire of someone's heart to be able to better lead them. And you will have to study the desire of someone's heart to be able to help them out with those situations. So I took that away in marriage, to look at my wife and see things that she struggled with from within, my children, what they struggle with from within, and look at the heart of my child and why they are doing what they're doing. So I can see their perspective and get into their perspective to help them navigate through it. Because they are the ones, they're the ones who are living in this program, what they're seeing. So I can help them see that program from their perspective so they can help get through it. So it's always been situational leadership. You may need somebody to hold your hand throughout the whole process. You may need someone to kind of like give them a couple of pointers and let them be on their own. And some people may need you just to give them one instruction and walk away. So looking at me as a husband and leading them, that's what's one thing that I did take away from being in retail, and also just being a people first person, because that's always I always have been a people first person in a retail atmosphere. So I took that all the way at home too as well, like being a people first. Hey, what's going on? Because it's not about me, it's about you. So how can I help you navigate through this? and always looking at the matters of their heart. Because once I focus on the matters of their heart, I can help them with the problem so much differently than me taking it personally on my own. You know.
So it's having those conversations with them because that's the only way you can like get into their mind, having those deep conversations with your
Mm-hmm.
child, with your wife, with people in
Mm-hmm.
general that you're leading, so you can see like what drives them, so you can help them, become better leaders, help them in the area of life that they need at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's good right there. Now, what's one mindset shift that you had to change from being a leader in retail management to marriage?
Oh, one thing I
Now,
have to
yeah, one
change.
thing you had to change. Give me one negative thing you had to change.
One thing I have to change is humility and accountability. One thing that I've learned over my time from being a retail leader over to being a husband at home, taking accountability for my actions, admitting my fault in situations, and the
So,
humility.
so let me ask you. So, in retail, there wasn't no admitting a fault, so you had to put on a facade where you had to protect yourself because you're in management.
Yeah, right there.
Is
You
that
had to
what
put
it
on a
is?
facade to protect yourself because you're in management. Yes, yes. But even before I was in management, I was always a child that always kind of did things right all the time. So I never received constructive criticism about what I've done. And then one set me down and say, hey, you did this wrong, did that wrong, did this wrong, did that wrong. And coach me and tell me what I'm doing wrong and make me accept what I did was wrong and take accountability from what I did wrong and acknowledge that and move on from that. So me experience as a not experience as a child, moving to the retail management position, I learned how to work around it, but not take it head on. I had to take it head on in my marriage. Now, taking a hit on in my marriage is where the problem was at. Because when you have your wife who's putting you right in front of the mirror and letting you see your faults, you're not acknowledging them, you're not taking accountability from them, that can frustrate your wife who's trying to help you see what you're doing wrong. So my wife helped me learn about accountability by accepting what I did wrong and taking it in. And hey, I'm wrong. That's my fault right there. Not protecting it, not trying to make a self-righteous comment why you did what you did. No, what you did was wrong. You take the accountability for that. The second thing is the humility point, is that not realizing my own limitations, feeling like you can do everything, feeling like you can don't have no stopping point, and not emotionally connected to what you're feeling and where you're at, feeling like you're invincible. And my mom said, "Hey, Johnny, look, listen, I understand. You believe in God, but listen, I'm seeing what's happening with you. You know, you're tired. You need a break. You do this, you do that, and I'm not realizing that. And still trying to. Oh, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But then that one day come where it all come out. Everything she was saying was the truth. I come out talking about, well, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing this, I was doing that. I was trying to tell you that, but you're not listening to me, not acknowledging that. I had to learn that too as well. And when I started learning those things and taking those things in, it helped me be more balanced as a husband, more balanced as an entrepreneur, more balanced in those areas because I took heed to what she said.
Now, do you think that, take heed to what she's saying, husbands are listening, right? Do they take heed to everything their wife's saying? And, speaking of the wife being a mirror, do you think the mirror can be blurred sometimes? The mirror can be dirty sometimes? Meaning like, are they 100% right in everything they bring out? How does one weigh like, okay, well, she's right about this. I can see what she's right about this, but in this end,
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking heed, but it's not adding up. You kind
Mm-hmm.
of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it can be. And I think when it's not like that, I feel like that's the point where you really have to have a good village around you, other married people who have faced these things, and you can have some witnesses around you. They always say if you and your wife having problems and y'all trying to address it one on one, and y'all not coming to the mirror. I'm saying your mirror is blurred, and she said my mirror is not blurred. I see a little bit what you're saying, but I'm not agreeing with this right here. Now you need some witnesses to come around to testify to tell you these things that's happening because they can give you a better insight on what you're doing and what you're seeing. The blurred part can be more clear, seen more clearly. in that. But if you're trying to handle it alone, and not seeking counsel from other married people for as witnesses, you really have to go to God together on that. You have to go to God together on that. If you're not seeing these parts, these unseen parts, you feel like that's blurry, that's not there. Y'all pray together and say, God, please reveal the blurred spots that I'm feeling on my end, from my perspective, and her perspective, and let's get together, God, and help us receive instructions from you on how to handle this problem from here on out. Because in the day, every time we see each other, I'm gonna have a reservation about the blurred, and you would have a reservation about the blurred. So now we're like more like this, because I see my thoughts instead of not being like this. We need to be like this all day. Like Ecclesiastes was that 4 and 12, always broke together with God, not easily broken. We need to be like that all the time, staying clinged on to God. So when it's happening like that, I feel like that's what you need when you have those blurred pieces in there, because you gotta let God help you resolve these problems. Because sometimes the human intelligence is just not good enough to help you get through these problems.
Yeah, it's human intelligence, right? That yeah says lean out onto your own understanding. So very key that you
Yeah,
to the Father in prayer.
yeah,
And that's one thing. Me and my wife do. We do pray, and couples out there. If you equally yoked, you should be, doing your best to pray together, at some
hmm
point in time, daily, sometimes multiple times a day, but definitely, praying together is a huge key. To have revelation on your marriage, to have revelation on what y'all doing,
hmm
and to, just learn more about yourself and build your relationship on Christ.
yes, all day.
Now, let me I know that, you was in retail for 20 years. Now you and your wife are doing full-time relationship content. How did you get into that? And how did you know that was your calling?
Oh man, how did I after my calling? I knew it was my calling from one thing: our marriage, things that we had been through in our marriage. It's been some real tough seasons in our first 3 to 4 years of our marriage, and the divorce rate, just among African American married couples is on a high end. And when I started seeing the things that I do for my wife in action, and she started telling me about things that I do in action, and she articulated it. My wife's really good at storytelling, articulated it very, very well. When we started getting together doing content, we first started doing what Instagram does, pictures, things like that, all that kind of stuff, right? But my retail history and what I love doing in retail was connecting with people. And over here on social media, I want to connect with people by giving God the glory and what our marriage has been through and what it's experienced, and that you're not alone with what struggles that you feel in your marriage, but you can overcome those. The desire to express that out in reels, videos, was so strong in my heart to where I feel like, hey, this is it right here. This is it right here. I don't care if I'm broke for the rest of my life. I know that if I know that a country that you and I do together, baby, if this is going to help a marriage grow, I'm happy. I'm happy. And knowing that we want to do this not for desires of having money, I knew that's what's the calling, because we'll do it for free. We'll do it for free all day. If Instagram was paying the money, okay, we'll do it for free. And that's how I knew, like, hey, this is where I want to be at. This is where she want to be. She was already doing it, full time. I was doing it part time. But when I inserted myself in trying to show husbands through action, things that I do through action and helping them out and getting the DMs and the videos, I mean, like just the reception back from it. The reception gave me more confirmation that this is the place. We have people that DM us all the time saying how much our content helps them in their marriage, and that was affirmation to both of us that this is the call. This is it right here. Because we never received so much repeated affirmation to anything else in life. When we was working as managers, people coming to me, "Hey John, you a good manager. I love you." I get that, but not at this capacity. And that was sprung everything like, "Hey, this is the call right here. This is it."
Now, where can people find y'all at?
They can find us at the Groceway on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. on all platforms at the Growthway.
Now, what would you say to a husband that's listening right now? Like, how do they find their purpose? Because you found yours.
Mm-hmm.
Someone listening right now could be, probably in a position where they're probably going through a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's financially or whether it's they have a career, have a job, but it's not fulfilling them. They
Yep.
know they're called for more, to do more.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the husband listening right now? How do he find his purpose?
This is how you find your purpose. You gotta look within yourself. You really follow the words of Christ. My father told me that before he left me in the flesh. He said, "Son, whenever you get lost, follow Christ. Don't be a fan of Christ. Be a follower of Christ. Follow those footsteps in the sand." And Christ said, "You take away the key of knowledge and do not go within yourself. Go within yourself. See who you are from within, and see what your desires of your heart. The heart is that God already gave to you. God's gonna reveal it to you once you go within yourself and seek the kingdom of heaven that's within you. And God gonna show you everything that you are to be in this world, who He crafted you to be in this world when you came out your mama's womb. Because God already knew you before you even came out. He been waiting on you to go within yourself so you can find Him. I'm there. Hello, I'm there. I've been here all this time. Come to me. Come see me. Talk to me. Ask, seek, and you shall find. Ask those questions. God, reveal to me who I am. Reveal to me who you brought me in this world to be. Lord, I am lost. I know I love doing this, and that. When I'm doing, I want to glorify you in everything that I do. Lord, please reveal that to me. Reveal that to me. My heart is open and pure and accepting to everything that you're giving to me. Whatever you give to me, Lord, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna glorify your name with it. Because you brought me here to do this. This is why I'm here. You formed me here from light to come down here to do this. So, Lord, please reveal this to me. Show this to me. Give me all necessary tools that I need to carry on what you want me to carry on. Reveal it to me. I'm saying without a doubt, God's gonna reveal to you who you are. He's gonna show it to you in so many ways that you can't even imagine through all kind of things. People start telling you, "Hey, you need to start doing this." You gonna start hearing 3 or 4 people in a row telling you this. You're like, dang, God's telling me what one mission is through other people. They telling me this, man. You start doing this, man. You start doing this. Like you probably can testify the same thing. Somebody come tell you, "Hey, man, Taz, bro, you start doing this, man. You start doing this." Like, okay, I'm seeing it. God showing me through other people. God showing it through my family. God showing it through within me. I have 3 witnesses: people that I don't know, people that I do know, and a person who I know myself.
And it goes back to being vulnerable with God now. Because
Ooh,
the first
yes.
part we was talking about being vulnerable with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
That was like being vulnerable with God. It's like because God, he knows our heart, he knows our mind, but sometimes we don't want to voice our heart, voice our mind. So
Yeah.
because it's been hard, because it's like, well, some people I voiced this to God before, but nothing happened. I voiced that to God before, nothing happened. But now it's like, just really letting it all out, letting him know what you feel, and he will, give you that revelation. And not only just voicing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being quiet to listen.
Yes.
Because sometimes we go into prayer and we just praying, 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 doing all the talking. And it's like, it's like, well, you got to stop and listen as well. You got to stop, pause, listen for the wisdom to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my wife a lot of things, ideas that I come up with. It's the times I was praying, I just sat quietly in the midst of the prayer, like, oh, I got this idea.
Mm-hmm.
Run with it. So being vulnerable with God and listening, and he will give you your purpose. He will show you what your purpose is. He'll show you which way. But when you get your purpose, best believe it ain't gonna be easy.
That would be.
When you
You
get
gotta
the
be
purpose,
changed.
you got to be proven. When you get the purpose, now you got to be
Mm-hmm.
proven. You got to be tried. Is,
Yep.
is this what you really? Is this what you really desire?
Yep.
Or do you desire the front end of it because it sounds good, look good, but do you desire the trenches of that
Yep.
purpose? And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure like you can talk to that because like you just said, like you left full-time retail to focus straight in on, content, relationship content,
Yep.
and y'all hit a wall, financial wall. It's like, would I turn back? What I do?
Yep.
push through.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. I mean, you're gonna have some stumbling blocks, but God gonna help you get there. He created them stepping stones for you. But every stepping stone have a stumbling block. When you step on that stone, or step over that stone, when you cross that stumbling block, you want to look back and say, thank you. Because that was meant for you to learn something about the aspect of the gift that he's giving you. You know, like a lot of times the stumbling blocks is to help us grow. So when you meet that problem again, you're not going to take it the same way. You're not going to panic. You're not going to get scared because God gave you the instructions, the wisdom that you can take action on when a certain block does not matter anymore. Now it's be bigger ones coming your way. Get to the next stepping stone. It's gonna be the same thing over again.
Got it. Now, what has marriage shown you in your life that nothing else could possibly show you?
What marriage showed me that nothing else can show me. Marriage showed me that you have to love unconditionally in your marriage. Love unconditionally. It taught me that unconditional love, love without restraints, seeking God when you're in marriage to see past your emotions. Um, Marriage taught me that. Marriage also taught me that this is a team thing. This ain't me. You know what I mean? This ain't me. It's an me and team. You know what I mean? But it's husband and wife together. It taught me that. It taught me also too as well vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable. It taught me vulnerability. It taught me humility. It taught me accountability. It taught me the things that I didn't get um, during my childhood years coming up to being married. It taught me how to solve problems, including God in it, and not including the matters of the desires of the flesh, desires of the spirit. It taught me how to go more consistently to God more than going consistently on my own will. It taught me how to pray a lot more consistently for my wife, for me, for my children, for the four corners that we stay in. It taught me how to pray more, have more prayer lifestyle. Also, too, it taught me togetherness on a whole different level. Togetherness on a highest level, knowing that marriage is not my idea, it's God's idea. And God created that idea and have to follow the creative order that God has put into marriage. It's taught me to follow his creative order in all things in life, not just marriage. Creative order in everything. How he created us, how he created the universe. He taught me how to follow creative order in a way that it should be followed. And respect it and honor it and nurture it and subdue it. That's what marriage taught me. It taught me all those things.
Now, I love this that marriage taught you so much, and you are rooted in the scriptures. You are rooted in Christ. You are rooted in God. And, you know, I'm going to ask you this. You know, some Christians, followers of Christ nowadays, they tend to stay away from the Old Testament, right? They tend to stay away from
Mm-hmm.
the Old Testament because they say they don't want to deal with that God. They don't want to deal with those laws. They don't want to deal with those commands. They don't want to deal with none of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they tend to stay away, right? Now, what is one of your favorite scriptures in the Old Testament?
Mm-hmm.
And who is one of your favorite Old Testament characters and why?
Oh
And,
man.
and I don't want to say characters, right? Who's
Mm-hmm.
one of your favorite Old Testament? Who's one of your favorite people in the Old Testament? I don't want character sound like it's a movie, like it's
Mm-hmm.
fake. So yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
All right. So first thing we said the Old Testament and New Testament. The reason why the Old Testament is so important is the reason why we have a New Testament. That's one wrapping it already in itself. The Old Testament is so important because it showed how every man that served God how they feel. And you might be one of those characters in the Bible or one of those peoples in the Bible that you can learn from. And it also teaches the coming of Christ. It teaches you how the 12 tribes of Israel was formed. it teaches you, like I said, creative order. It shows you how God followed his creative order, and when all the way to the tribe of Judah, he followed his own rules to bring Christ. All that you learn all that from the Old Testament. It's going to give you more clarity about why Christ is here and why Christ is so important. That's why I feel like the Old Testament is so important because it shows you God's love and compassion for us. It shows a lot of love and compassion for humanity, how he's trying to teach us how to grow and how to learn how to serve him. And it shows how unique God is and how much he loves creating and how much he loves his creation, us, how much he loves us. That's why I feel like the Old Testament is so important. When it comes to the people in the Bible, my favorite has to be Moses, and I'm gonna tell you why Moses is one of my favorite. In this world right now, United States of America, if you stay in the United States, you are sometimes we are in bondage, just like the New Egypt. And God revealed Himself to Moses, and I'm gonna tell you my favorite scripture in that too as well. When God revealed Himself to Moses, and God told Moses what he should speak to the Pharaoh, Moses said that I am not eloquent in speech to say this. And God said, isn't it I who created your mouth? When I read that, I'm like, Moses is telling God that I'm not able to say this. But God's telling me, I know you can say this. I created you. I know what you can do. So God's telling you that you can do this. You can do this. And I mean, moving further on with Moses, I feel like Moses, why I like Moses so much is that Moses went through and drove the children of Israel out of Egypt. Now, when I think about the children of Israel, I think about the children that's in me. When I think about children in me, I think about emotions, principalities, doctrines, principalities, powers of men. You are all being subjected to that stuff in this world right now. And Moses his children, led the children of Israel out of Egypt. Now, if you take on Moses and be who Moses is, you can lead your children out of Egypt too. Egypt right up here in your head. What's keeping you in bondage? What's happening in this world? The veil that's been put on your face, not realizing the program that the world has run on you to keep following the desires of the flesh, being like a beast. You're reducing yourself to a beast, instead of being a child of light. Moses was helping them become children of light, and Moses can help you become a child of light by driving your children out of Egypt, your emotions, all that.
I like the way you put that. Like, your emotions, your baggage, the things you're going through, your basically your child, some of your childish ways,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that the bondage of the mind of Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think when before Moses was sent on his mission, he did say, I'm not eloquent to speak, but it's like God gave you the ability. I created you, so I gave you the ability. I gave you the purpose. I gave you this mission, and also I gave you my name. I am that I am. So if you if I gave you I am that I am, right? You are who I said you are. So you can get rid of this bondage. I am no longer addicted to porn. I am no longer addicted to alcohol. I am cleansed now. I am healed.
Mm-hmm.
I am delivered. I am prosperous. All that I am because
Yep.
God is within us.
Yep.
I like what you said about Moses, man.
Yes, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Now, continue on. Continue on.
Yes. Yes. I mean, like that's why I feel like the Old Testament is so important. Going from the tribe of Israel, the tribe of Judah, how you separate the camps, how God kept staying with Israel all the way through. I mean, God stayed with Israel all the way through. I mean, He even delivered them into the hand of the enemies just to teach them why you should be with me. I mean, like all those things, watching King David, Solomon, watching Saul, watching how, just like in corporate America, look at Saul and David. Look how Saul's like getting afraid that David's going to take over, and how David, slew, how he beat Goliath. You know what I mean? And he didn't even want to wear nobody else's armor because he couldn't fit it. So I mean, like that shows you how David depended on God to defeat Goliath. He didn't want to wear somebody else's armor; it didn't fit. I'm not gonna put that on and fight him. That's gonna fit me. And I mean, like all those stories, what you read in the Bible is teaching you so much about what's happening within you. And you're not taking the time to see how important the Old Testament is because it really is important. I mean, even just like think about David and Goliath, the five smooth stones that he hit him with. You got five senses, right? Yeah. If you think about this, if he hit him with five smooth stones and left him in his forehead, when you think about these things, think about you as a child, and Goliath is a big problem as a child that you can't defeat. But you only you can beat it is as the Goliath. You got to go back to that child to win. You can't. You need to get that in the Old Testament. The Old Testament is going to teach you that. You know what I mean? It's going to show you that, and it can help you out on your mission. So I just feel like the Old Testament is so important, man. It puts everything in together for the New Testament, and how the New Testament, shows how Christ came through and did miraculous things and taught us things that will hit us in the heart like no other information on this planet. No other
And,
information on this planet.
and this, I forgot what scripture it is. I believe it's in John chapter 1, but it talks about like it said like I'm paraphrasing, but it's like with Moses came the law, but with Christ came truth. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you have to have both. You know, there's some people just lean on the New Testament of Christ, or some people
Mm-hmm.
just stay focused on the Old Testament with Moses and the law. It's like you have to have both
Yep.
round about, to be the man who God has called you to be. Now,
Yep.
let me ask you, when I say husband of purpose, man of valor, husband of purpose, what comes to mind?
Man, husband of purpose. I feel like carrying out God's will in the covenant of marriage. When you are a husband of purpose, you are going to stand upright in God's word and stand upright in God's expectation as a husband. And you're going to strive to follow those every single day of your life, every breath that you breathe. You're going to try to follow those values that God gave in marriage and nurture your wife, love your wife, nurture your children. Because having a wife has to be the second most important decision you made in your whole life. The first one is believing in God and Christ as well as within you, knowing that. But the next one is choosing a life partner. And that is so important in being a husband of purpose, knowing those things going on in your mind and your heart, and really taking those values that God gave for a covenant of marriage to heart and acting those out wholeheartedly, like doing it every single day wholeheartedly, no matter if you're receiving negative energy while trying to pull out God's purpose. You're still pushing forward because you know that this is the winning play. The winning play is taking God's playbook in marriage and being a husband. And we talked about in the book of Ephesians, putting the whole armor of God on, like putting that whole armor on and following God's purpose and going through it and being patient for the promise that God has given you as a husband for your wife, for your children, because this leads up to a bigger picture. It's like you are creating your own legacy through God, and you're creating a great foundation of following God's purpose. As a husband, because it carries so much weight. It really does. Your children get to watch you be a husband. Your children get to watch see who's the great idea of a husband is. You're the first person that they're going to look at and see as that person. So you want to live as that example. You want to take on what God's lens is on marriage and act that out every single day. No matter if it's hard to do it or not, to continue to keep doing that. And I feel like that's what husband purpose needs to know, knowing that you're taking on a great responsibility, and God loves you while you're in it.
And it's a growing process.
It
It's a
is.
growing process because we're all growing as men. Like you're saying, our children are looking at us, so we still making mistakes and we still trying to get it together and learn and
Mhm.
become better husbands, become better fathers, become better followers of Christ.
Yeah.
Now, do you mind if I ask you something personal?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, speaking of becoming a better man, better husband, and we're all growing.
Mhm.
What's one thing right now that you can say that you're still struggling with? You haven't conquered yet, but you're still struggling right now. Because we're still becoming who we are called to be.
Mhm. I think I'm struggling with uh, consistent, consistent leadership.
What do you mean?
What I mean by consistent leadership is I teach about things that I did struggle with, right? Humility, accountability, those are components in the characteristics, as a husband that you want to improve that you're struggling with. So with me, those are one of the struggles that I still feel like I need to improve on. That's one of my constant struggles. And my struggle with it is getting so much better than it was yesterday, day before yesterday. Now I see the heart of the situation. I see myself growing from a child in those struggles of being a consistent leader. When I say being a consistent leader, I mean being a consistent leader on all levels. Being the head of my wife, uh, following a God's purpose as being a husband, even though following God's purpose might cause tension between you and your wife. That is what I'm saying. That when I'm being looked at as a person that's causing tension, but really a person who's trying to help the marriage, flourish. From that standpoint, I feel like that is a struggle because at the end of the day, you don't want to have, you don't want to have feel like you have a consistent type of friction between you and your wife. So if you and your wife having friction every single day, you won't kind of like take a backseat in a situation because you want to keep the peace. You want to keep a peace in your home, but ultimately you're not keeping the peace in your home. Ultimately, you letting the characteristic grow to where it's gonna be even harder to get the peace. So when I'm saying that part of it is that being a consistent leader in that area, for me, for humility and accountability, um, I have to say that's still my struggle. I don't feel complete in that area of leadership as a husband when it comes to humility and accountability. Still not being really self aware of my limitations. Still not being aware of things that I do wrong. That I need to say, hey, I testify. I did that. That was me. My bad. That was me. I'm sorry. And coming back and really wholeheartedly not putting that pride to the side and say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I did that. That was my fault. I did that. And take that on wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? That is still a growing process for me. And I'm not ashamed of it because I feel like I'm improving in it, and it's not toxic. You know what I mean? It's nowhere near toxic. You know what I mean? It's more of my wife sees me dealing with humility and accountability, that consistent leadership. When she sees me dealing with it, now it's not much of a huge battle for her to see what I'm doing wrong. It's so much a less battle. It's so much of I'm recognizing, I'm realizing what I'm doing wrong, and I'm closing it out by, hey, I'm apologizing before you guys spend 30 minutes to an hour telling me what I did wrong for me to apologize. You know what I mean? Like that time has been reduced down. You know what I mean? But I want to get to the point right now where it's so far less than how much is happening.
Now you can take it right there and there instead of being like a half hour, maybe a couple minutes. Like, you know what? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yes.
was wrong. Let me go and apologize and make things right and kind of
Right.
move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely growth. That's definitely growth right there. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going back to the whole mirror we was talking about earlier. Like certain times, like you have to sit in it and be like, okay, wow, okay, this mirror wasn't blurred. This mirror was clear on that.
Yeah.
The mirror was
Yeah.
clear on this
Yeah.
one right here.
It's true. I mean, like really, like my wife has really been teaching me how to sit in things that's happening. Really see that. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes as husbands and men, we keep trying to run and take action, take action, take action, take action, but not really deep dive into what's happening, really processing that what's happening, really taking it in, fully aware of what's happening from beginning to end. You know what I mean? And going through every single step of that emotion to where it's not even like it's in an iniquity inside of you because you're letting that still fester in you and grow in you. You don't even know it. You know what I mean? And that ties back to, like I said, humility, not realizing my limitations. You know what I mean? I might have so much things going in within me, and it come back and catch up with me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. You know what I mean? So, that's a dangerous spot to be in. So that part really just taking deep diving and really going through those things. I really think it's important to go through every step and learn how to be vulnerable and deal with those emotions because You know what I mean? Like emotion can cause an illusion in your mind that you can't even know how to break down if you let it go for a long time.
Yes, yes. Now, if you could leave a husband, with one takeaway, either about life, about love, about leadership, or marriage or purpose, what's one thing you would leave him with in regards to one of those, either life, love, leadership, marriage, or purpose? Pick one and tell us, what's one thing you would leave with that husband with.
With love, with love, vulnerability has to be in that picture. If you really want to experience the fullness of love, vulnerability has to be there. If you don't uncover yourself and let your wife see who you are, you might be cutting yourself away from the fullness of love you could possibly receive in life from your wife. If you don't show that vulnerability, she might see something and help cover and nourish that vulnerability that about yourself that you never did want to show within yourself because I'm a man, I got pride, I ain't let you see that. And if I give you this, if you stumble on it, I'm scared about what's gonna happen after that. You gotta let that go. Because if you chose her to be your wife, your life partner, that means that you should not be afraid to uncover that with her and not cut her away for being the wife that God called her to be for you. Because in the day, that's your help me. How she's gonna be your helpmeet if you're not meeting her with what's wrong on your heart? You're not letting her see it. You're not letting her see. You're not opening up for her to help you to get through problems she might be facing every single day. And if you let it go for a long time and you finally take that step to do it, you're gonna look back at that time that you missed out where you could have overcame that feeling and you could have been in a more blissful situation in your marriage and seeing your wife in a whole different light because how much she's helped you be where you need to be at as a husband. So being vulnerable, um, um, or not being afraid to tell your wife, "Hey, baby, I got a lot of things going on in my heart right now, and I really want to talk to you about it. I just want to just get it off my chest." Like those things are really important for us to do as men. So in the love department, really do that because you're really gonna truly see how much your wife loves you, and it's gonna make you want to give back even more love by seeing how much she loves you, how much she covering that part of you that you feel broken within yourself and become vulnerability.
Vulnerability and accountability. That's the key to one of the keys to a successful marriage. And fellas, if you're listening right now, I'm going to invite you to me and my wife's our conflict to connection free 5-day workshop where we actually get into vulnerability and accountability. So definitely check the link in the description about it. Now, before we get up out of here, where can people find y'all at? And tell us what's up and coming for the gross way, brother.
And so you can find us, like I said, at the Groceway on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us on all those platforms. What's coming from us now is that back to school summertime has been something serious, and we have been really, really get excited about some new things we want to bring in. I'm working on bringing a Bible study coming in. Well, we do Bible study as a couple. We do Bible study for husbands, Bible study for wives. We want to implement that into our social media pages, where we can do that as a community and do that together, do that one on ones, do those, and we're really excited about doing that. It's really exciting about having a husband and wife really get into the Word together and really break down scriptures and talk about them together about what it means to each one of you so you can understand how you see God's word and how you get more clarity on God's word together so you can grow more in Christ, grow more with God, and grow more about what the purpose of why the word was given to you and how it can guide you and can help you. So those we're really excited about that coming up. I know I am, because I got about 30 Bibles, so I'm really excited about going through that.
I'm excited. I'm excited for y'all, and I'm gonna put y'all page and everything in the description so people can follow y'all. Definitely, husband, wife, anyone listening, definitely follow them. Their content is great, and him and his wife are real people. And I just want to thank you, Jonathan, for coming on. Tell the wife, the children, we said hi over here from a Christ lifestyle, and we look forward to touching base with you again, brother.
Hey man, appreciate you having me, man. This is a beautiful conversation, man. Hey man, may the presence of the Lord be upon you, your wife, and your children. And hey man, till next time we meet again, man, it'll be another good one.
That's it. I enjoyed having you on, fellas. If you're listening, go ahead and follow them, check them out. And this has been another edition of the Men of Valor Husband of Purpose podcast, where we are empowering husbands to lead in life, love, faith, family, and purpose. And together we lead. Peace and blessings.